Why is Laos called the land of a million elephants? To answer this, we need to go back centuries to a time when powerful kingdoms, rich traditions, and vast landscapes shaped the history of Southeast Asia. The name Land of a Million Elephants is not just a poetic title. It comes from one of the most important kingdoms in the history of Laos, a kingdom known as Lan Xang. The story begins in the 14th century with a man named Ngum. He was a prince raised at the Khmer court in Angkor in what is today Cambodia. With support from the Khmer Empire, Ngum returned northward and carved out a vast new kingdom in 1353. This kingdom, called Lan Xang, would dominate the region for centuries. Its name means Land of a Million Elephants, and it quickly became a symbol of power, culture, and identity for the Lao people. Elephants were not chosen by accident as the emblem of this kingdom. At the time, elephants were everywhere in the forests and plains of Laos. They were a critical part of daily life, used in agriculture, transportation, construction, and especially warfare. A kingdom with vast herds of elephants was seen as wealthy and powerful. In fact, in many Southeast Asian cultures, elephants were symbols of kingship and divine authority. So when Ngum named his new empire Lan Xang, it declared to the world that this was a land of immense strength. Lan Xang covered most of present-day Laos, along with parts of what is now Thailand, Vietnam, and Cambodia. Its strategic location along the Mekong River allowed it to control trade routes between China and Southeast Asia. The capital was first established at Luang Prabang, which became a major religious and cultural center. Later, rulers shifted the capital south to Vientiane, which remains the capital of Laos today. Religion played a huge role in unifying the Lan Xang kingdom. Ngum is credited with introducing Theravada Buddhism as the state religion. He brought sacred Buddhist texts and monks from Angkor, and even a highly revered Buddha image known as the Phra Bang, which gave Luang Prabang its name. Over time, Buddhism became deeply tied to Lao culture, influencing art, law, festivals, and education. For several centuries, Lan Xang thrived as a strong regional power. Its rulers balanced diplomacy with neighboring kingdoms while defending against invasions. The sheer number of elephants in its armies gave it an advantage in warfare. Elephants carrying armed warriors were the tanks of the pre-modern world, able to smash through enemy lines and intimidate opponents. This military strength helped Lan Xang maintain its independence during times when Southeast Asia was dominated by shifting empires. But despite its reputation, Lan Xang was never truly a land with a literal million elephants. The name was symbolic. It represented abundance, strength, and resilience. In reality, the number of elephants was probably in the tens of thousands, still an extraordinary figure compared to today, when wild elephants are critically endangered in Laos. The name Land of a Million Elephants has survived as a reminder of a time when elephants were at the heart of Lao identity. The history of Lan Xang was not without challenges. Succession disputes, rivalries, and wars with neighboring kingdoms weakened the empire over time. By the 17th century, internal divisions began to take their toll. After the death of King Surignavongsa in 1694, who had presided over a long period of peace and prosperity, the kingdom fell into decline. His successors could not maintain unity, and by the early 18th century, Lan Xang split into three separate kingdoms: Luang Prabang in the north, Vientiane in the center, and Champasak in the south. Even though Lan Xang collapsed as a unified state, its legacy remains strong. The symbolism of elephants as protectors and symbols of prosperity endured. In fact, the memory of Lan Xang continued to shape the identity of the Lao people well into the modern era. When Laos became a French colony in the late 19th century, the French often referred to it as the Land of a Million Elephants. The phrase appeared in colonial records, travel writing, and official documents, further cementing it in the global imagination. Today, elephants are still considered sacred in Laos. They appear in traditional art, folklore, and festivals. For centuries, white elephants in particular were seen as symbols of royal legitimacy. The more white elephants a king could claim, the greater his perceived divine favor. This belief was not unique to Laos, but was shared across Southeast Asia, including in Siam, modern-day Thailand. In this way, elephants linked rulers to spiritual power and reinforced the authority of kings. However, the story of elephants in Laos is also one of decline. Overhunting, deforestation, and modernization have greatly reduced the elephant population. Where there were once thousands, today only a few hundred remain, mostly in captivity or in remote forests. Conservation groups are working to protect what's left, but the contrast between the ancient name and the modern reality is striking. The land of 1,000,000 elephants has become a land where elephants are endangered. Despite this, the legacy of Lan Xang and its elephants continues to inspire national pride. For many Lao people, the phrase recalls a time when their ancestors built a great kingdom that stood alongside the powerful states of Southeast Asia. It also serves as a reminder of the country's resilience, culture, and ability to endure despite challenges. Laos today is a small, landlocked nation, often overlooked compared to its larger neighbors like Thailand, Vietnam, and China. But its history as the land of 1,000,000 elephants gives it a unique identity. It connects the people of Laos to their past, while also highlighting the importance of protecting their cultural and natural heritage for the future. So why is Laos called the land of 1,000,000 elephants? Because of Lan Xang, a powerful kingdom founded in the 14th century that made elephants its symbol of power and prosperity. Elephants once roamed the land in large numbers, serving as workers, warriors, and sacred beings. The kingdom's legacy, though centuries old, still shapes the identity of Laos today. And while elephants may no longer exist in such great numbers, the memory of Lan Xang and its elephants remains a powerful part of the Laos story. The next time you hear the phrase, land of 1,000,000 elephants, you'll know that it's not just a nickname. It's a window into the history of a kingdom, the power of its rulers, and the deep cultural connections between people and nature in Laos. It is a reminder that even small countries can have histories that echo across centuries. Thanks for watching. Are you considering visiting Laos?